Okay, so on this left-hand side beside page 61, I want you to write down important vocabulary. There are 5 words that are essential to you learning point of view. The first one is narrator. A narrator is just the person who is telling the story. Giving you a minute to copy down the definition of narrator. The narrator is the person or character who is telling the story. When you are finished, please put your head down. Bless you. You have my permission to look at someone else's. The next important term is point of view. A point of view is just the narrator's position to the story being told. For instance, I can look at Bob sitting down, and Bob's looking right at me, and from my point of view, it looks like he's really listening, right? But in Bob's point of view, he could be looking at me but completely tuning me out and be in La La Land. Does that make sense? So the points of view, the perspectives can be different on just the same scenario. Ready to move on?
No.
There is one thing I want you to know. Anytime you see POV, what does that stand for? Point of view. Awesome girl. All right, ready?
No.
First person point of view. If someone it's first person, it's the narrator, it's where the narrator is the character. So let's just say I'm telling you about myself. And I'm saying, I went to school Saturday with my son. I'm talking about myself. I'm involved. I'm a character. And I'm using I and my. That lets you know it's first person. The narrator is telling you his or her story. It helps the reader see the story through his or her eyes. And your key words are I, me, my, and we. You have my permission to look over someone's notes. Just parts you don't know. The next one is third person point of view. When we're talking about third person point of view, that's your typical story. The narrator is not the character in the story. The narrator tells the story, kind of like he or she's a cameraman and she's recording what's going on around them. And your keywords are he, she, they, and it. If at any point in time you're trailing behind, I will allow you to go online. I'm going to set this up to where it's going to be through the YouTube channel, and you can record what notes you have missed. With that said, the last and final one is influence. When we're talking about someone influencing someone else, talking about someone affecting other people. Affect, change, or guide. I will tell you, and I brought up a good point, with second person, you're not going to see that as often as you do a first or third person. When we're talking about a first person, it's kind of like a diary or an autobiography where you're just talking about yourself. When we're talking about third person, that's like Esperanza Rising. Esperanza and Hortensia, we know all about them. But was Esperanza telling us her side of things? No, we just knew what Pam wanted us to know. Does that make sense? With second person, it's not as frequent. That's kind of like if you're reading instructions and it says you need a screwdriver, you need to assemble this. You hear the word you a lot. Or sometimes you'll see you walk into a cabin and suddenly it goes dark. And then boom, someone jumps out at you. Those are very rare. You won't really see a lot of those kind of stories. Okay, so today we're going to be learning about point of view. I can describe how a narrator's point of view influences how events are described in a narrative.